ago. I believe you were down to the last 2 or 3 for Superman.
I was on the last 2 for Superman. It was with Dean Cain and I. The last time I went to the Warner Brothers lot, it was Dean and I did a final screen test with Terry Hatcher, and I got back home. Actually, I didn't get back home. Back then we had pagers, you know. And pager went off, and I pulled over, and I went back to Santa Monica there, and I called my manager, Beverly, and she said, "You got the role. You're going to be Superman." So I was all excited. Went out with buddies, with champagne party. And the next morning I said, we changed our mind, we're going to Dean Cain. Welcome to the way Hollywood kills you, destroys anything. It's tough enough to get a gig. 3 months later I got Hercules, and Dean's always been a very good friend. Dean's a great guy. He and I did a movie together called God's Not Dead. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. Dean did a great job in it. So 3 months later I got Hercules, and I always tell Dean, I say, so, it's interesting because, you know, I did my show, 7 seasons, became the most watched TV show in the world. You did yours 3 years and got canceled. So, I'm okay with that.
And then a few years later, you actually got Terry Hatcher to be your wife then, on screen.
Well, they wanted me to do Supergirl. They had seven shows they wanted me to do, but I was busy filming a movie down in Louisiana at the time. They shoot Supergirl up in Vancouver, where I shot Andromeda. So, I said, guys, I'm shooting this movie. I got a small 2-week window that I could do something. So they rewrote everything and squeezed 3 episodes. And for me, you know, they kind of shot way out of order. And to do mine, and then they had to rewrite it and have Terry kill me. Because initially it was supposed to be 7 episodes, but they had her character still keep going, so to keep that storyline going. So it was a little bit bummer not to do more episodes, because she had about 5 or 6 people on Supergirl from my set of Hercules, from Andromeda, which was pretty cool. And also, a lot of my crew is now on Supernatural, but there was a handful that were on Psych as well. They did an episode of Psych, and it was just fun. You know, you work with the guys for 5 years like that. You know, become pretty close with working long days, and that becomes family. Hercules was 7 years, you know, so whenever anything comes to an end like that, you spend more time with them than you spend with your family. So it was tough. It's hard when something ends like that when you have such a tight knit crew.
Another one as well was the X-Files as well. I believe you were very close to getting that too.
I got done with the last 5 guys for X-Files. I did. I would have loved to have gotten that role. David's great. So it would have been fun to do. Obviously, I mean, I love the role. I love that kind of that sci-fi stuff. So, but you know, things work out the way they work out. You can get mad and crazy and drive yourself nuts, but it's just the way it is.
You did get to feature on 2 of my favourite shows. I'm sure everyone in Ireland grew up watching reruns of Murder, She Wrote and Cheers. It was just constantly here for about 10 years.
So Murder, She Wrote, I got that a year before I got Hercules. And it was interesting, by the 2nd day, Angela Lansbury invites me into her trailer with her and her husband to have lunch with her and her husband. So I go in there, and I thought, no big deal, and had a nice hour lunch, and I walked out, and the whole crew's like, just she never invites anybody into her trailer. You know, only to find out that she was trying to suss me out to set me up on a date with her niece. So it's pretty fun. But that's how that worked out. It was cool too, because Angela knew that show so well. It was already like on season 8 or 9 or something. So they told this first-time director on the show, he said, you know, Miss Lansbury, she leaves at 5. So do what you can, but she's out of here. You know, we can shoot the other actors, whatever. So 5, we rehearse the scene. It's 4:30. Takes them 45 minutes to light. Blah blah blah. And they call me on set, and Angela, of course, is gone. And the director says, "All right, where's Angela?" She goes, "Well, we told you she leaves at 5." And they thought, "You meant that?" Well, of course we meant that. So I had to do the scene without her. And then the next morning, then she came back on the set to do it. And she would work, and she doesn't need them, but she didn't want to have to worry about working that hard later in her life. They would have 3 sets of cue cards for her to read off of. So we watch the show, and if you see her head move around to talk about something, she's reading on the cue card. But it's like, you know, can she have a hard time memorizing? I said, well, no. She just 2 years ago, her and what was it? It was with her. Anyway, they were on stage on Broadway and brought this play all over Australia, so there's no cue cards on stage. So she just didn't, you know, she knew the show.
Just lay the whole stage, just lay it out.
She didn't want to deal with it, but it was neat to work with people like that. The first year of Hercules was 5 2-hour movies, and the cool thing for me, because I grew up watching old movies with my mom. That's kind of got me hooked on acting, watching Humphrey Bogart and Spencer Tracy and Catherine Hepburn, all these great old actors, and Cary Grant. And I got to work with Anthony Quinn. He played Zeus for a whole year, which was just amazing. And I got great stories with him. And you know, we worked together for almost a full year. It was almost a full year together. We just had dinner every Saturday night at Antoine's, this little Italian restaurant that he loved on the suburb outside of Auckland, New Zealand. It was pretty cool. I got some good stories. And there are kids here, I can't tell all of them. There's some good stories in there.
And the casting for Hercules, initially there was kind of rumours that it was supposed to be, you know, a big kind of Dolph Lundgren bodybuilder type of character. But apparently it was probably based on Joe Montana, the American. Wrong
rumor. You're right for half of it. No, when my agent first sent me the script for it, I read it, enjoyed it. It was going to be 5 2-hour movies before it was a series. There wasn't even going to be a series. It was just going to be 5 2-hour movies. And you know, I called him up, my agent. I said, you know, they're going to want some. I'm a big guy, but they're going to want some no-neck, you know, 150 kilo steroid dude, you know. And they said, no, they want a decathlete kind of looking guy or an American quarterback type of guy. Like Joe Montana, no, because I think they want something a little bigger than that. Joe's from the old style of quarterbacks. They get these big monster guys. But so I read, and then they called me a couple weeks later, read again, called me a couple weeks later, read again, called me. It's like just a casting one forever. They called me in 7 times over 2 months. So I got the last calls on me and 2 other guys. They looked at 2,800 actors for this role across North America. And so I get there and I'm in a room like this, but it's more like a theater setup, you know. There's about 40 of the high-powered males and females of Universal Television and studio right there, and I'm on a stage, higher stage, back further than this. And Sam Raimi's front and center. Sam was our exec producer, and so I said, Sam, every time I come in, you guys don't give me new script to read, you don't give me no direction. Well, we like what you do. Sam, if you don't know Sam, if you ever seen him in interviews, he's a very nervous guy. He's just always I've been on the set when he did For the Love of the Game with Kevin Costner. Kevin's a good buddy of mine. And he just keeps the camera running. He runs in and says, do this, and he runs back out. And keep the camera, do this. And so they said, no, we like what you're doing, just read it one more time. So I said, okay, so I did. The other actress there, and I read and did the scene, and then he said, okay, it's great. He hits the woman next to him, and she goes, what? He goes, oh, I'm supposed to ask you to take your shirt off. So back then I was in pretty good shape, if you remember. So I took my shirt off, and there was like a collective, oh, okay, oh my, you know. And I looked at him, I said, yeah, I'm a lot bigger when my clothes are off. And Sam Raimi says to me, he says, would you, if you get the role, would you be willing to shave your chest and your stomach if you get the role? I'm not overly hairy, but I got a little man cover there, you know. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted a man for this role. And I started to walk up the stairs. And I got a big laugh from them all, and so they said, we'll let you know, and great job, blah, blah, blah. So I left the next day to shoot an episode of The Commish with Michael Chiklis, if you guys remember that series. Yeah. And so I'm up there filming it, and a week into filming, I get a call, and the calling manager, I call, and she goes, you got the role. And I was like, this is so cool. So I walk out on the set with Michael Chiklis. I look and I said, Michael, I'm half God now. I don't want any crap from you. So, and then I got back home, and for 2 months I trained with Douglas Wong, and Douglas was one of Bruce Lee's original students. And so for 2 months, 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, we did all kinds of different White Lotus, Kung Fu, Karate, I mean all this different stuff, weaponry. It was so cool. And I put on about another 5 kilos of weight, just kind of pumped up iron a little bit more, and went down to shoot by the 3rd movie. I looked at Michael Hurst, who played Aeolus, and I said, I got a feeling they're going to make this a series. He goes, why? I said, because there's nothing like this on TV right now. You know, it's fun. We poke fun of ourselves. We're not taken seriously. It's wink, wink. The fight scenes are well choreographed. All that. Sure enough, about 3 weeks later, they called up and they said, Universal wants you to stay there. We're going to make it a series. And because of fans like you, we went on to become the most watched TV show in the world, 176 countries. By our 3rd season, everybody was copying the show. They even did, you know, we spun out Xena. But at that same year, there was a series called Sheena, and Conan, and Robin Hood, and Tarzan, and Sinbad. All these other shows try to come out at the exact same time. But that's sort of the way Hollywood operates. If something works, everybody wants to jump on that bandwagon. So it was interesting to get a nice... Peter Jackson used to come on the set quite a bit, because all through the 90s while we were filming, he was doing Lord of the Rings, writing it and getting it ready. And he wanted to use most of our crew, because there was a New Zealand crew. So he'd come and see how things were doing. And I remember he was on the set, and Roger Donaldson was on the set, directed No Way Out, and Bounty with Mel Gibson and stuff. So my first time ever directing, they two happened to be on the set. So I said, "Excuse me, guys, I'm going to show you how to do this." But it was amazing to be part of that. And you had young Hercules in my season 5 we spun off, and that got Canada for 2 years. But a lot of people forgot about that show. That was a 20-year-old Ryan Gosling playing me as a teenager. And that's why I said to Ryan, I said, "You're 21 after the 2 years he's down there." I said, "You're a good actor, you'll do fine." Ran him a couple of years ago, I said, "Dude, put me in one of your bloody movies."
Can you dance?
Tell me something. Because all of a sudden he came up, he's, "Oh, dude, give me a hug." He's like, "I tell people all the time I started in Hercules." And I go, "Yeah, well, you've done nothing to help me."
What's that like though, like being, like I said, on the biggest show of all time at the time? Like the recognition you're getting on that, like what does that do to you psychologically? Like when you start thinking, I'm the biggest star.
I don't know. I mean, I'm from a little town in Minnesota, from about 7,000 people, upbringing. I mean, my buddies would beat the crap out of me, like a ego with it. You're in New Zealand, you don't really pay attention to it until I would have to come back to the States to be on the Letterman show or the Leno and do all these talk shows and stuff. But you notice a lot going through airports and people coming up, and I remember the first time going to one of our department stores and seeing a wall of all these Hercules toys. And I was with my mom at Christmas time. I said, "Isn't that weird?" It's just strange. But I spent a lot of time. I worked really hard at it, though. I mean, I went out there with an attitude. I didn't know anybody when I moved to LA. I just drove and got my car, loaded up my life, and I just went out there. And I just said, to me, it's like, go after your dreams. Go after it. I think people give up too quickly on things they want to do in their lives. And to me, it was just, this is what I'm going to do. I remember before I got to know Kevin Costner, he actually came to my acting class because he used to study with one of the guys I studied with, Richard Brander. And he was filming the, what was the movie? Oh, the Bodyguard. He was doing The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston. And he came in to talk to the class, and the first thing he says, he gets in front of us, he goes, "I know you all have dreams, I know you want to be actors, but I got to tell you, you're probably not going to make it." He took questions for 2 hours. I walk up to him and I said, "Mr. Costner, my name's Kevin as well. I understand what you said and why you said that, but you're wrong about me. I'm going to make it." He goes, "Well, good, whatever." And so about a year and a half later, I got Hercules, and 3 years after that, I get invited to play in a golf tournament. I'm a keen golfer, I love to golf. I'm actually coming back here a year and a half from now, not this summer, but next summer to golf all over Ireland. But I get invited to his tournament that he's hosting along with Prince Albert in Monte Carlo. So they fly me all the way from New Zealand to this tournament. So I'm in the driving range, Costner comes up, he goes, "Hey Kevin, thank you made the tournament, it's great." And he goes, "Well, we've actually met once before." He says, "Really?" I said, "Richard Brander's acting class. You were doing The Bodyguard, you came in to talk to us." And he said, yeah, I remember that." And I said, "Well, you said none of us are going to have any success." He goes, "Yeah, I probably said that." And I go, "Wait," he goes, "Wait a minute, you're the guy." He says, "Welcome to the club," he said.
You're talking about overcoming adversity. I've read your book, I absolutely love the true strength. And
thanks.
I was kind of surprised to see like what happens in just before the end of Hercules with your shoulder, and then subsequently what came out of that.
Well, I want to write that book. Trust me, I did not want to write the book. My wife kind of beat me up, but I'm glad I did it now. In season 5 on Hercules, I was having all kinds of problems with my left shoulder. It was weird. These fingers were numb, and I couldn't figure what was going on. There was pain going through it. I was doing most of my own stunts. I was working out an hour and a half, 2 hours every day on top of the 12 to 14 hour day on set. So the bumps and bruises, I just kind of didn't pay attention to them. I was just having so much fun on the show. I went back home to the States when season 5 ended, and I was doing a big publicity campaign for my first big budget movie at Universal called Kull the Conqueror. Kull was the prequel to Conan the Barbarian. Kull is Conan's father in the books. Even though Schwarzenegger's older than me, apparently I am his dad. I went to, I was in the East Coast, I was in Boston, New York, and a doctor came to check me out because it was just killing me. And he says, "You better get this checked out." Oh, by the way, the doctor who comes to visit me, I would tell him his name was Dr. Dye. I know it's DYE, but didn't change your name. Take your mother's maiden name, something, you're a bloody doctor. So he said, "It could be cardiovascular, you better check it out." So I went to see my doctor in LA, and he finds a lump way up here. And he thought it was cancer. Didn't tell me straight out, but he said, "We need to do a biopsy and let's check this out." I go to see my chiropractor. Now, in 8 years of seeing this guy, He's never cracked my neck because I don't like my neck cracked. I'm laying on the table, I hear a voice inside me that said, don't let him crack your neck. And I thought that was just weird. Louder, second time, don't let him crack your neck. Boom, he cracks my neck this way. It ends up being an aneurysm that had been spitting out blood clots into this hand and arm for long. But cracked this way, forced 3 clots into my brain. I suffered 3 strokes. And I have a book out there called True Strength. If you look at the last 2 seasons of Hercules, you'll see that not only did I have, there was a weight loss in there, there was a lot more stunt casting. We used a lot more Bruce Campbell and all these other guys and stuff because I couldn't really work that many days. But it affected my vision, my balance, and my speech. I worked really hard to get my speech back. I'm lucky. I mean, 3 bullets to the brain. I could have been killed instantly, wheelchair rest of my life. I mean, I know what it's like. I got a buddy who just suffered a major stroke. I just killed Luke Perry. You know, I mean, it's weird. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird. And the balance issue was a problem for a long time. I had like 50% loss of vision in both eyes. It's 10% now, so it's gradually gotten better. But it was a long road, and I wrote a book called True Strength. If you haven't got it, check it out. It's a good read. It's a positive read. It's humorous. I got, you know, it's opened a door for me that I never thought I'd be doing. I do a speaking tour. I probably do about 15 speaking events a year around the country. And I've had people in car crash, heart attack. I mean, all these people that are survivors of something horrible in their life say the book has motivated them to stop feeling sorry for themselves. Because the reality is, we're all going to hit a wall. If you haven't hit a wall already, trust me, everybody's got a story. And really it's how you react to that. Because we go through, you know, bad crap happens, we blame God, we blame family, friends, wives, husbands, we blame everybody else. The reality is look in the mirror. That's where it starts. And you got to say, what am I going to do? This is what, you know, life has dealt me now. Am I going to sit here and feel sorry for myself? Or am I going to push past it and make myself a better person?
I had a very negative experience reading the book because I actually had shoulder pain while I was reading. So for 2 days.
Phantom pain, no, that's phantom pain.
I had a stroke. I just dropped. I couldn't sleep then. Thankfully, it's gone away.
Well, the signs were all there. I didn't pay attention.
And Hercules finished up there. You were actually offered an extension on Hercules and turned it down. Why was that?
Well, because I had a call from Majel Roddenberry. He said, my husband wrote a show back in 1969 when Star Trek finished. It's called Andromeda. I think he would have loved you as the first captain ever created after Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
And I said, sold, you know. So, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the original series. I've probably seen every episode 40 times in reruns through high school and college. I remember university, 10:30 at night was Twilight Zone reruns, 11 o'clock was Star Trek. You know, my parents call them, how you doing? Oh, I'm busy studying. I gotta go, you know. So. But yeah, they did. They offered seasons 8, 9, and 10. But when when Andromeda came along, I jumped on it. And Universal wasn't too mad about it because they owned the Sci-Fi Channel too. So I still stayed within the Universal family. So it was there. And I was ready to do other things anyway. I was ready to kind of move on and try something different. And my wife says I went from Herc to Kirk. So, you know, it's thousands of years difference there. But it was fun. I enjoyed both series immensely.
You mentioned your wife there. You met her as well on the set of Hercules. So you kind of had the
I did.
death experience, then a reborn experience.
I did. We well, every 2 weeks they sent down a really pretty girl for me to work with. So it was a good dating service for me. But when I met her, well, the very first night, the very first day of filming, was a night shoot that particular night. That day was this kissing scene. And a lot of times they want to do the kissing scene and get out of the way because they don't know if the actors are going to hate each other after 2 weeks together. So I walked up to Sam and I said, so this kissing scene, you think we should rehearse it? And I was being cheeky, I know. And she said, oh, sure, Kevin, sure. And she says, Annie was her Australian makeup artist, do you have any mints? She goes, of course I do. She goes, it's not for me, it's for Kevin. She said, it's like touche. I like her. I liked her more. So yeah, we've been together now, got 3 kids, and there you go. And so we're producing movies together and staying busy.
Just one thing before I open the floor up to questions.
Yep.
There's the infamous meme about you. Disappointed.
Disappointed. The Sovereign, yeah.
The rumor, for those who don't know.
The rumor's wrong again, but go ahead. The rumors usually are. Let me tell you, if it's on the internet, doesn't mean it's true.
The line is given, and then the stage direction is disappointed, and the rumor is that Kevin read the stage direction, which I have a theory on that. One, it would come before the line.
Exactly.
And my theory behind that is I'm a big Fish Called Wanda fan.
It came from Fish Called Wanda.
Yes.
I ad-libbed a lot in the show. Michael Erskine and I both ad-libbed. There's a lot of lines that would happen. A lot of things happen on the set because the writers were in LA. We're 9,000 miles away in New Zealand. And so initially they got mad at us adding some of our own lines in there. They're trying to say the words, you know. But then Sam Raimi goes, yeah, but it was funny. So, because things happen on the set. You read a script one way, but once you're on a set and you block through it, there are things and props and other actors that make things change a little bit. So we would throw stuff in. The writers would go, got to a point, what would Kevin want to say? I bet he'd say that. So I want to write it in. But the Sovereign was the alter ego of Hercules in the bilateral universe. He was the bad guy, and he had the, you know, the mustache and goatee and the leather and all the, you know, goth look. And I love playing that character. I wish they did it more. And I ended up in Hercules' world. Go online and just look for that, Disappointed Hercules. You get it. I mean, it's got like 12 million hits on it. It's nuts. And some people use it as like when their wife calls and disappointed. It's true. And so I did the scene. I look around. I go, wait a minute, this isn't my land or whatever I said. And then I thought of A Fish Called Wanda. If you haven't seen it, it's one of my favorite movies, and with John Cleese. And I just yelled out disappointed, and I kept it in there. But we did that a lot on the show, you know, and it's just something that it's just fun to do. They can always take it out if they want it.
It's crazy. It's like something like completely innocuous.
Yeah.
It became this like massive phenomenon.
It's weird, but it's weird that, like you said, people think it was, I was supposed to read another line in a disappointed way. Yeah.
We're going to open up the floor to questions there, so if anyone wants to try their hand up, try and limit it to one question.
Right in front.
Okay. Do you want a mic there?
Hi there. I was a fan of Xena and Hercules, and I used to watch it all the time as a kid, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks. I just wanted to...
Your mic's louder than mine.
I just wanted to ask you, how was it to do those crossover episodes with Xena and Hercules? I loved, as a kid, when those two worlds converged, you know. Sometimes you had like Callisto popping up into Hercules' world.
Sure.
And,
well, at the same time period, so you're kind of in the same land, so to speak. But yeah, well, initially, another actress was supposed to play Xena, Vanessa Angel, you know, from Weird Science. She actually booked the role. Lucy had been in about 4 or 5 other episodes in those first couple seasons, and Vanessa got sick, and we had a schedule to keep. She got very sick; she couldn't travel. So they panicked, and they realized, well, we're starting both these series like now in a week and a half. Well, mine was already going, but they were going to start that right now because it was still in Hercules. We introduced her character in a 3-show arc. They didn't know at the time they were going to make that into a series, but they were hoping to. And they said, well, they all like, well, we like Lucy and she's here, but you know, Vanessa's got a bigger name at the time. She did. I mean, she had done movies, and she was in Kingpin, I think, with Woody Harrelson and stuff. And so they panicked, and they had to do what they had to do. So it worked out, obviously. I mean, talk about being at the right place at the right time, because initially the series was going to be in South Africa. Then they said, no, we're going to shoot in Australia. New Zealand was a last-minute thing that they just, while we're here in Australia, let's pop over and see what they got. And it really came down to the U.S. dollar. It was 38 cents in the dollar down there. You know, 380,000 American was $1 million in New Zealand dollars. So that was the big reason that they kind of moved it there. So it worked out, and you know, Lucy got lucky. She was, I mean, Hollywood. She didn't have to go to Hollywood. Hollywood came to her, and that's how that hurt her marrying Rob Tapper, our exec producer, either. But it's you know, things I think worked out better. Not against Vanessa at all, but I think Lucy, you needed someone that was also athletic, you know, and a tomboy in a way. You know, she's pretty, but she's also could do a lot of the stunts, which I think that really helped a lot. So I remember when the next season started for her, it was season 3 for us, season 1 for her, and then we did a crossover into her show. And there's a fight scene where Michael and I are on this bar, and we jump down from below. She's surrounded by bad guys. And so once I give my smart ass ad-libbing, I land next to her and I said, hey, we're just here to help your ratings. And then we got so I kept it in the blooper reel. But the shows really complemented each other a lot, and I think it just exploded even more so with both shows appearing back to back. So it's cool because the whole idea was really, they looked at the success of Hercules and said, why don't we gear one and make a female type of Hercules show? They didn't know what they're going to name it at the time, and the writer, when he wrote the trilogy, is the one who came up with that whole thing. So he had one right here in the front row. He had a question right here. Go ahead. Mr. Flashy.
I was just wondering, with all the stunts that you do, like in Hercules and in the fight scenes, have you ever suffered like from major injuries because of those scenes?
Well, I think, you know, I played American gridiron football through college. That didn't help either, all the beating and stuff. But I mean, I did, you know, I was the type of guy that for 20 years I was running, you know, 6 kilometers every day after every workout. So I was always running on pavement, pounding my knees and all the fight scenes. So the knees are taking a beating. I've had them both worked on meniscus-wise. The meniscus is back and one is an ACL tear right now. So it sucks getting older. But I've got to get those things fixed. The worst, I mean, you got nicks and cuts of swords and fights and stuff all the time. I was spraining fingers and whatever. The worst one I had was during the Xena trilogy, which I had a hard time with the storyline that she could talk Aeolus into not being my friend anymore. I had a hard time with the writers. I said, come on guys, BS. You know, do what you gotta do. He goes for it because she's hot, whatever. But I mean, don't do it for that reason. But so we ended up doing this fight scene together against each other, surrounded by all of Xena's men. And during the rehearsal, it was, I didn't like one of the moves I had to do. Right, it was 360 spin, get down really low as Michael goes at me with the sword. Because in one rehearsal, I felt it brush the top of my head, even though I'm way down there. And I told Peter Bell, our choreographer, I don't like that, man. I think that's kind of a dangerous move. He goes, no, it's good. And Michael goes, oh, don't worry, Mike, I'm the New Zealand fencing champion. I'm awesome at fencing, you know. So the very first take, he nails me in the back of the head. I'm down. I wake up in the hospital with a concussion, split open, stitches, everything. You watch the replay on this. Here's Michael. Okay, when you do any fight scene, the whole idea, you watch Jackie Chan, anybody, you look at the person. I don't care where your body is. Boom, you make eye contact before you come through with any kick, any punch, anything, sword fights, all that stuff. You're always making the eye contact, making sure. So you look at that very first take, and I'm doing this 360 spin low. I'm almost 6'4", Michael's about 5'5", so I'm a lot taller than Michael. But still, I'm getting down low. He's supposed to swing here. He's like this. It's bloody closed on me. He just clocks me. And and lucky for me, he hits me with the flat side. Hits me there, that would have killed me. So they changed the swords. We fought pretty much real swords. So they changed them up and made them a whole different deal. They got beat up quicker, but it became a lot more safer in case he hit somebody. So and he gives me a bottle of this whiskey that I didn't like. He said, "Give me a whiskey I like." But that was the worst one, and that was like in the second season there. So it was pretty nasty. Concussion didn't hurt either. That sucked. But I was fortunate there, you know. So, but I mean, our egos both where we want to do it. Michael, the stunt guys loved me because Michael hit too many stunt guys too much. Not as bad as Steven Seagal, who would actually break people's bones and stuff. But you know, in all those years of fights, I only had one stunt guy make really good contact. One, and it was his fault because I'm throwing an elbow back this way, and he was I'm half a meter past his line, and I caught him flush and I broke his nose. Felt so bad. I'm fighting these guys here. Boom, like this, and I turn around and go, "Cliff, I'm sorry." His nose is bleeding. He goes, "Oh, it's all right, mate, my fault." You know, I felt so bad. It's horrible. Another question?
Kevin, thank you so much for coming to Dublin. It's great that Ireland has made the con circuit, so thank you. My question is, Hollywood has gotten lazy. They're all about the reboots. We're doing lots of reboots.
Yeah.
If they were to reboot Hercules, who do you feel could take up the mantle and play Hercules now?
Well, they can age me up. They better damn well make me Zeus. They got to make me something. Because as a kid, I read all about, you know, as a 14, 15, I read all about that stuff. You know, I loved it, mythology. And I ended up being Hercules was kind of cool. I had no idea. I'm so not Hollywood. I'm just not. You know, I mean, even now, I got my home's about 80 kilometers outside of it. So, I honestly don't know. I mean, whatever 25 to 35-year-old dude out there that could do it, but I think they should redo it. I think it's time to redo it. They're redoing reboots all the time anyway. So why not? You talk about these movies, these Avengers and all these, you know, until they stop making $2 billion, they're going to keep making them. You know, I mean, they spend anywhere with not only the filming of it, but the promotion of it, they'll spend $600–700 million. But if they're going to make a $1.23 billion profit, it's called show business, not show. You know, they're going to keep making those movies. So I don't blame them. I just don't know why they haven't come to me to be an Avenger of some kind. You know, it's just, it'd be great. I would love to do it. But I've been busy. I'm just letting you know. I mean, since Andromeda finished in 2005, I've shot over 60 movies. So there's not all con movies. They're small independent movies that keep me busy. There's probably, you know, 15 I wish I didn't do. But, you know, there's a great quote from Sir Michael Caine when they asked him why he did Jaws 3D or Jaws 4 or whatever the heck he did. And it was Jaws 4. They said, "You're Sir Michael Caine, you're an Academy Award winner. Why would you do a movie like that? Did you even see the movie series?" He says, "No, but I saw the house that built me in Spain." Good answer. You know? So there's a movie I wish people would. It got held up in court for ego reasons between the producer and the guy who funded it, which is unfortunate. But if you get a chance to see Julia X, you want to see a different character. I played a serial killer. So check out Julia X if you ever get a chance to see that movie, because it was fun for me to do this. It's a very strange love story, is what I call it. So, but take a peek at that one. It's interesting. But I've been busy. I got 5 movies coming out this year. I got 3 more lined up. I just came from Israel. I've been shooting a documentary down there. I'm finishing up in Oxford in about a week and a half up there. So I'm shooting a Civil War movie in Canada this summer. I'm filming a Dickens book in England this fall. I got a movie, one movie and one TV show with Netflix right now that we're developing, so I'm staying busy. It's just not there, it's not in the con world, so. But, you know, I don't sit around. Like I said, there's somebody right in front of you who wanted a question. Here we go.
Hi, so my question is, you were just talking about all of the experience you have and, you know, in context like potential reboot and so on. But let's say Hercules was being done today with, for example, Game of Thrones level budget and so on. How do you think it could potentially play out differently, or what would you like to see happen compared to before?
If you got a Game of Thrones budget, you can do about anything. I mean, seriously,
exactly.
That would be pretty cool. You know, Hercules still plays well today. The only thing that's really dated in it would be the special effects and the creatures. But we were the training ground for Weta. Weta did all of our stuff before they went on to win also Academy Awards and Lord of the Rings. And so that's kind of where that company started. But, you know, I think because it's a time period, it still plays well today because it's funny, it's entertaining, and there's mythology in there, and it's just, you break the fourth wall, and, you know, like kind of said, like I told you, what made that show fun was Michael and I just coming up with stuff. I remember that we're sitting there was a line when the 4 horsemen were coming or something, and we did this war. Yeah, what's it good for? I go, absolutely nothing. And stuff we just add like that just to throw it in there, and they always kept it in. But I think with a big budget, you make it darker. I mean, Hercules, the real story of Hercules isn't a family show. So, I mean, when Zeus and everybody, when he did all of his labors, and they reneged on all the promises, he killed his family and kids. So he wasn't. It's not the family show you're watching on TV, so you wanted to go that road with it, you certainly could. So we'll see. We're trying to do a TV series based on the old Bible with David, King David. And if you've read that makes the Game of Thrones look like kids play. I mean, that's, you read what King David was, you're going, God picked this guy? It's pretty amazing. It's pretty dark and evil. And it'd be interesting. But I would love to see that happen. It's just that I know when Dwayne Johnson did it, I thought they missed the mark with that. I think they could have done much better with that. But I've known Dwayne for years. We used to work out the same gym together all the time. He's a great guy. But yeah, you know, it would be interesting to see that. I wouldn't be surprised somewhere down the road they come back and reboot that. Because it's there for the taking, why not?
Is that why you stole the Walking Tall franchise from him?
I love the Walking. Well, no, they actually, when he did Walking Tall, they came to me to do that movie first, and I was unavailable because of Andromeda. When I finished Andromeda, I did two movies that went straight to DVD, and it was always meant that way from Sony and MGM. So if you get a chance, see Walking Tall, The Payback, and Lone Justice. They're probably R-rated because of the violence. It's not like a sexual thing, but they get, you know, pretty. And they were going to make a series out of that, and they hemmed and hawed, and it didn't happen. I wish it would have happened. It was a fun series. It was a drama. It was not like a comedy element to it, like her, Kevin, and stuff. But I would have loved to have that happen. It would have been good. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. One of my favourite movies is God's Not Dead. I absolutely love it. I love it over and over again. I think you're fantastic in it. I'm a college lecturer as well.
Oh, cool.
So I was wondering, did you ever think about becoming a teacher or anything like that?
Well, my dad was a teacher. My dad taught 7th and 8th graders, 13 and 14-year-old math and biology. And my older brothers warned me not to take my dad as a teacher. He says, you think you take it easy, he'll make it worse for you, trust me. So I didn't take him. But if I wasn't going to be an actor, because I always, since I was 11, the goal was there. The dream was always there. I would have loved to have been a high school level teacher and been a football and basketball coach, because I love sports. Sports were a big part of my life and my family. My little town, 7,000 people, 5,000 would show up for our football games, So it was a big deal, and it was that was my little world there, And when I was that age and through college, I enjoyed hitting people then, but I'm mellow now. You mellow with age, It's like from the Old Testament to the New Testament. God mellowed out once he had Jesus, right? Much kinder God. But yeah, I would have done that road, because it was something that I think would have been important to me. I work with public schools in Los Angeles. I have the #1 after-school program in the state of California, and that's a big state with 50 million. So it's called the World Fit for Kids. And LA Unified. I work over 12,000 inner city kids each year. LA Unified has a 54% dropout rate, starting as low as 5th grade. You wonder why we have problems with gangs and things like this. The 12,000 kids that we have every year, 21 years, we've averaged a 98% graduation rate and a 67% higher GPA. What am I doing? What is our program doing for these kids that our schools, that our government can't do? Not to get like some, but there's a purposeful dumbing down of our kids, and it's sad to me. Public education in America is just, it's pathetic. It's just stupid. Fastest growing segment of private schools, charter schools, and homeschooling. It's the fastest growing segment right now. So there you go. Yes?
You mentioned whiskey.
What?
You mentioned whiskey earlier.
Yeah.
Whiskey.
Did you do the Jameson tour?
I nothing against the Irish. I like the Canadian blends. I just do. They're smoother, like Crown Royal, Canadian Club. Just a smoother whiskey to me.
Yeah.
Find me a good beer, though. I'm happy to have beer. I'll try beers everywhere, trust me. I like a good beer. Yes? Gotta lean back, I like it.
Yes.
Is you okay? Thanks. Sam Sorbo was very impressive in the Sequest series. I saw the repeats about last year as well too. She was a fantastic genetic engineered life form, the Gelf, in that series as well. We always a bit disappointed you get a guest role in that series when it was on back in the mid 1990s. And did you like her character Mariah? Thanks.
Well, in 91 or 92, I think when that series started. That was a Spielberg show. And I went in to read for one of the roles, and I got to be honest with you. Oh shoot, what's his name from the Jaws movies? Roy Scheider. He had a problem with my height. So he's maybe 5'7", 5'8", he did not like me being as tall as I am. And I've lost jobs because of that. I've met with other actors, big name actors, that said, you're just too tall. Which is frustrating. You lose a part because of your height. And so I remember I was home, I was in Auckland, and I flipped the TV on after a day of filming. It's like 10:30 now, 11 o'clock at night, and that show was on. And Sam was in the episode I watched with Peter DeLuise. And I'm looking at her going, that chick's hot. I said to myself, and of course 4 years later I meet her, and end up marrying her. But I never really watched the series, but I knew of it. At that time, I couldn't really watch much anyway. I mean, I was 17, 18 hours door to door every day. So it was a tough schedule. The first 2 years they worked me 6 days a week, so Sundays just became a day of just comatose. I'd go and golf, and that was about it. But then they realized they were killing me, so then they gave us weekends off finally. But so I didn't watch a whole lot of TV during that time, and so I catch up. I didn't know about Friends or any of those sitcoms until I started filming Andromeda. I go, what's Friends? And they go, it's a really big set. Oh, okay. So of course I watch it, and I said, oh, it's a really good show. Because Matthew Perry and I used to be in this acting class together. Matthew Perry, Brad Pitt, and I are all in the same class for 2 years. And I remember the first time I saw Matthew Perry perform on stage I leaned over to Brad and I said, damn, that guy should be on a sitcom, he's really good. You know? Of course he gets friends, so there you go. Another question?
You've made childhood's people much happier. So how do you feel about it? Because I'm talking especially about myself. Like,
Well, you know, I love hearing that, because the reason I wanted to be an actor, besides the love of the craft, is for that same reason why I wanted to be an actor. When I watch other actors that make me think, make me laugh, make me cry, make me have hope, make me move my imagination, it's the reason why I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be able to do that to people. And the letters, I mean, Hercules at its peak, we're getting 2,000 letters a week coming in there. There are a lot of marriage proposals as well, but you know, and interesting gifts. And photos, but I remember this one woman she wrote every week. It became sort of an ongoing thing on the set, because I always bring a letter into the crew, they always got a kick out of it. And she says, you know, I'm a really big fan, I live in New York City, please meet me at such and such a club in Soho, and blah, blah, blah. And then 2 weeks later, I get a letter, where were you? You weren't there. And then the letters got meaner and nastier. It's like, you know, she goes, I went to the doctor, I told him that I was pregnant with your child, he said it was a hysterical pregnancy, and then she wrote to the police department trying to track me down in New Zealand. And she had, the letter had John F. Kennedy Jr., who's JFK's son, but she crossed it out in a single line and put Mrs. Kevin Sorbo on there. So we actually had 7 people in the FBI watch list during that series with death threats and all this kind of stuff. And then when I did get married, I did get a lot of hate mail from women. I hope people still watch your show. I said, really? You really think I was going to end up in Bulgaria and we'd get married? I didn't really, you know, it's just, it was interesting.
Well, you picked a wife off a Spielberg show.
I did. Well, I didn't pick it off, I lost it. But you know. Anyway, I'm a flaming heterosexual, what can I say? I appreciate the beauty of women. Yes?
Kevin, in conjunction with that chap's quest, well, his compliment to you there too, I just want to say I totally agree, because when Hercules was out here in Ireland, it was a great time for families to sit down together and watch something for an hour, which is very rare now, because with all the technologies, they're on their devices or whatever. But thanks, definitely with my family, it was something we sat down to and we watched. So thanks for coming to Ireland as well. Yeah.
You know, I got a wonderful letter from the TV Guide editor, and he said, this is the one show we watch together as a family. And I agree with you. Look, I'm not a prude in any way, but it seems like every show on TV now is just kind of showing anger and hate involved in it right now. And it's just, there's room for all that stuff. And that's why I think people, like you mentioned, God's Not Dead. I've done a movie called Let There Be Light. If you haven't seen Let There Be Light, please see it. It's streaming on Amazon. I directed that one as well. I've got 5 movies coming this year. They're all pretty family friendly. One's called The Reliant. It's an action movie, which is probably a little different twist on things. But I just finished directing a comedy called Miracle in East Texas, based on a true story set in 1930. I got John Ratzenberger in it. John was Cliff on Cheers, the postman on Cheers. And Louis Gossett Jr. and Tyler Mane from all the X-Men movies. It's a wonderful comedy. It's going to be out probably around October, November in theaters. I hope it makes it over here. But I see, you know, we live in such a world where everybody's offended by everything and everybody's looking to be offended. I mean, it's wacky to me right now. It's like guys, everybody's got different opinions. I saw an interview with Jerry Seinfeld. He said, I won't do college campuses anymore. I mean, comedians get up there and I go, can I even say this? Because comedy comes from anger, let's face it, you know, it's making fun of people. And, you know, I'm sure there's jokes here that you guys have about the Scots and the Brits, and we do the same thing with Canada, you know. We do in Minnesota with Iowa, one state below us. I mean, the joke used to always be, why do Iowa cheerleaders cheer on fake grass? It keeps them from eating the grass, you know, from grazing, you know. So, I mean, but you gotta be careful with everything nowadays, because it's like, good Lord, let's just have some fun. You know, I mean, you look at Family Guy. That guy gets away with murder. Well, it's a cartoon. Well, trust me, he's showing you where his mindset is. And if you did a show like, what's the show with Carol O'Connor, The Family? What was that one back in the 70s? All in the Family. You couldn't do that today. You couldn't do that today. People are so just you know, just looking to be mad. So. And people lose their jobs over just saying the dumbest things now. So it's, you know, I'm trying to do movies that families can see. I just did one called Bernie the Dolphin. Fun little family movie. You know, as an adult, you look and I go, oh, think that your kids will love this movie. Because it's a kid's movie. And Lionsgate liked it so much, we just shot the second one in December in Florida, which was kind of cool. You ever, the older crew, have you ever saw Creature from the Black Lagoon?
Yeah.
The guy who plays the Creature was at the last con I was at 3 weeks ago in Pensacola, in Florida. It's called Pensacon. And we just shot where they shot that movie. It was Bernie the Dolphin movie. So I saw these old posters from the 50s, and I see him right there, and I went, oh, dude, I just shot a movie where you shot that. So it was kind of cool. And so he signed an autograph for me as the Creature says, come swim with me.
I think we have time for one more question.
Right, I was just wondering if you could act anyone, living or dead, who would you love to act with in what type of film or TV show?
Who would I like to act with? I would love to do with Robert Redford. I mean, Robert Redford and Paul Newman are the reason I want to be an actor more than anything. Those are the guys, those are my guys, you know. I met Redford once, never met Newman. I got a letter from him because a friend of mine, she's a reporter, she got to meet him and said he's a big fan of yours, blah, blah. He writes me this beautiful letter. Called him and got talked to him on the phone a couple times, but every time I got to New York to meet him up in Connecticut, he was always gone. And it would have been awesome for me to meet him, to do that. I'd love to work with Julia Roberts. This is a pretty good story. So I'm in LA, I just got out to my first year out there. I'm at the hottest club in town called Helena's. You have to be a member to even get in there. I couldn't afford to be a member there. And somebody said, oh, go to this club, it's great. So I just showed up. Helena happened to be at the front door. And I'm walking up the ramp, the bodyguards are there, and she says, excuse me, what? She goes, you gotta show us your key, whatever it was they have there. And I said, oh, it's private club. I said, oh, I'm sorry. And I turned right away. She goes, whoa, wait. Because she's used to people BSing and trying to get in the club. She goes, wait, honey, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Minnesota. I start talking. She goes, you're an actor, aren't you? I said, yeah, I'm out here pursuing blah, blah. She ends up liking me. She gives me a free membership. No sexual favors. So I get to go into this club. You know, George Michael would be in there, and Warren Beatty, and Jack Nicholson. It was just, I know, hot supermodels. I mean, it was like this amazing, amazing club. Well, Julia Roberts had just done Mystic Pizza, I think it was called, one of her very first movies. Because her brother, Eric Roberts, was the big superstar in that family at that time. So she walks up to me, and she asked me to dance. We had a good time dancing, gives me her number, and I was like, not really my type, throw it away.
Really?
2 years later, I land in Chicago to do a commercial, and she's there to meet Kiefer Sutherland because they started dating because they had flatliners together. And she looks across the baggage carousel and she points to me. She walks up to me and she says, Kevin. I went, God, good memory, you know? And so we started talking, and Kiefer's over there. Kiefer's like this tall. He's staring at me. And I could tell she's being really nice and really sweet to me. But I know in her eyes she's saying, you blew it, didn't you? So, yeah, I did. But we did one watch. Somebody had one right here in the aisle. Did somebody here in the aisle have it? Did this woman right in front of you? I thought she raised her hand. No? Oh, go ahead. What is the one more?
Well, first of all, thank you for Hercules. Sorry for my English because I'm from Spain and I'm a little bit nervous right now.
You're from Sweden?
No, Spain.
Oh, Spain.
Spain, yeah.
I'm landing in Madrid, only for a second, on my way to Vienna. Sorry.
Oh, really?
But I shot commercials in Mallorca. I've been to Mallorca.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, amazing. Well, it's a silly question. Just, I wondered if you keep something from the set of Hercules, like sword or the shield or something.
I normally when I do shows in the States, it's easier to travel with things. If you go to other countries, they want to know, why do you have this, why do you have that? You know, if you have some photos, they don't care, but I would bring things. I have pretty much a prop from every episode of Hercules and Andromeda. I have every script. I have the original script with all my notes in it. I have a script signed by all the actors in it. Then I just have a clean copy, just in case I need to make a clean copy. Because the notes I have, my notes, I make funny notes because I'll sit there and I'm marking down the highlighting. I'm making notes, call the writers on this. Then maybe I write down, oh, pick up some milk and some bread. and then this is crap. I'll write this and change it. But I have some really great props. I have some really great swords. I mean, they're all like one-of-a-kind stuff our prop department made. All these guys, like I said, went on to work on Lord of the Rings and stuff. So I got some really, really cool stuff. I have 3 of the original 5 Hercules outfits. By the way, those leather pants weighed 6 kilos, just so you know. Yeah, so try doing the kicks and the fighting and the there was 6 extra kilos in those fight scenes. But they look cool, you know, 3 layers of leather, you know, so they just kept over and over. And Nyla Dixon was our wardrobe designer. She went on to win the Academy Award for Best Wardrobe Designer on Lord of the Rings. And Andromeda too, like a lot of the original, a lot of original outfits and stuff, and some really cool props from all those shows and stuff. So yeah, you know, to me it's just a souvenir to take. But I mean, I've actually gone online to auction them off for different fundraising events that I do. And I work with like the Wounded Warriors campaign for, you know, soldiers hurt and losing limbs and families that have lost you know, loved ones in Iraq or Afghanistan and stuff. So yeah, it's fun. And one day I'll, you know, take those things out and throw on the Hercules costume for the wife now and then. But I've actually thought of wearing it for photo shoots. I think fans will get a kick out of that. I'm still workout. For an old dude, I'm still in decent shape, but I mean, I'm not buff like I was back then. The hair's not as long, so. That was the hardest thing, was cutting my hair. From 7 years of it going to Andromeda. It's funny, if you look at the first season of Andromeda, my hair is still kind of long, but to me it was really short, because they said they wanted it even shorter. I said, wait, look how short it is! But then I look at it now and I go, I look like Jackson Brown. I said, yeah. we should have cut that more, so we cut it more. She's giving me the wrap-up sign. So anyway, guys, I'll be at the table for a couple more hours.